I hit the marble floor hard. My shoulder cracked against the bottom step. "Stay away from us forever," my dad shouted from the top of the staircase. Angry, I looked up. My mother stood next to him, my brother, my sister, all of them watching. None of them moved. I pushed myself up slowly. My wrist throbbed. I could taste blood in my mouth. "As you wish," I said. Sighs. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just walked to my car. That was Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. My name is Marlo Mario, and for 28 years, I thought I knew my family. I grew up in that mansion. I went to the schools they chose. I became a doctor because that's what Pierce women do. I worked 80-hour weeks at their hospital. I never complained, but 2 hours after my father pushed me down those stairs, I sat in a boardroom across from 9 people I'd never met. "Welcome, Dr. Pierce," the chairman said. "We've reviewed your credentials." "Impressive." "Curious." I nodded. "The board has made a decision," he continued. "Effective immediately, you are the new head of surgery at Metropolitan General. Metropolitan General, the biggest hospital in the state, the one hospital my family didn't own." I shook his hand. "Thank you," I said. What they didn't know was that I'd been planning this for 6 months. What my family didn't know was that I'd seen something I shouldn't have seen, and I'd kept it to myself. 6 months earlier, I was still the good daughter. I ran the cardiology department at Pierce Memorial Hospital, my family's hospital, the one my grandfather built in 1962. Every morning, I arrived at 5:30. Every night, I left after 9. I attended their charity galas. I smiled for their photos. I never questioned anything. My father was the CEO. My mother handled philanthropy. My brother Marcus ran finances. My sister Victoria managed PR. And me? I saved lives while they counted money. I didn't mind. I loved my work. I loved my patients. But that Tuesday in October, I stayed late to finish paperwork. Around midnight, I walked past my father's office. The light was on. I heard voices inside. "The audit happens next month," my father said. "We need to move faster." "I've already transferred 2 million, Marcus replied. "Any more, and they'll notice." I stopped walking. "Then make it look like equipment purchases," my father said. "Victoria can create the invoices." My hand froze on my briefcase. "What about Marlo?" my mother's voice asked. "She signs off on all cardiology expenses." "Marlo doesn't pay attention to paperwork," my father laughed. "She's too busy playing hero." I stepped back quietly. My heart pounded. I walked to my office. I sat down. I opened my computer. Then I started looking through every invoice I'd signed in the past year. It took me 3 hours to find the pattern. Fake equipment orders, phantom supply shipments, ghost consulting fees. They were stealing from the hospital, millions of dollars, and my signature was on half of it. I didn't confront them. That was the smart move. The only move. Instead, I started documenting everything. I made copies of invoices. I photographed receipts. I recorded dates and amounts in an encrypted file on my personal laptop. Every signature they forged, every fake vendor, every transfer. At work, I acted normal. I smiled at family dinners. I laughed at my father's jokes. But I stopped signing anything without reading it first. "Why are you being so slow with approvals?" Marcus asked one morning in November. "Just being thorough," I said. "We got flagged in the last audit, remember?" He stared at me for a long moment. "Right," he said. "Good thinking." After that, they stopped using my department for their fake purchases. They moved everything to Victoria's PR budget instead. That's when I knew they suspected something. I started applying to other hospitals. Quietly, I reached out to colleagues at Metropolitan General. I updated my credentials. I prepared. Then in December, my mother came to my office. "We need to talk about your future," she said. "What about it?" "Your father thinks you should step back from clinical work. Focus on administration. Help Marcus with the books." I looked at her carefully. "Why?" "Because family takes care of family," she said. "And we need someone we can trust. Someone they could control," she meant. "Someone who wouldn't ask questions." "I'll think about it," I said. That night, I contacted a lawyer. 2 weeks later, I had copies of everything stored in 3 separate locations. I was ready, but I didn't expect what happened next. In January, the hospital announced a merger. Pierce Memorial would join with two smaller hospitals. My father would become regional CEO. Marcus would oversee all finances. And I would be removed from cardiology, promoted to chief medical advisor, a title with no real power. Congratulations, my father said at the announcement dinner. You've earned this. I smiled. I thanked him, but I knew what it really meant. They were pushing me away from patient care. Away from the departments where I could see their transactions. The next morning, I went to my office early. I needed to clear out my files before the transition. That's when I found the folder on my desk. Inside were documents I'd never seen before. Loan applications, property deeds, insurance policies. All in my name. They'd been forging my signature for years, not just on hospital invoices, on personal loans, on mortgages for properties I didn't own, on insurance claims for equipment that never existed. If anyone investigated, it would all point to me. I was the scapegoat. My hands shook as I photographed every page. Then I saw the last document, a transfer of liability form, dated for next week. They were going to make me personally responsible for $12 million in fraudulent debt. Then they'd report the fraud themselves, blame everything on me. I'd lose my medical license. I'd go to prison. And they'd walk away clean. I sat there for 20 minutes, just breathing. Then I made a phone call. Metropolitan General, how can I help you? I need to speak with your board of directors, I said. It's urgent. I had 1 week. 1 week before they filed that transfer form. 1 week before my name became attached to everything. I couldn't let anyone know what I was doing. Not yet. So I played along. I attended the merger meetings. I smiled during interviews. I posed for photos with my family as the hospital's legacy leadership team. But every night, I worked. I organized everything I'd collected: bank statements, forged signatures, email chains I'd found in shared drives, voice recordings from my father's office that I'd made using my phone. I created a timeline: 6 years of systematic fraud, shell companies, fake vendors, kickback schemes with medical suppliers. And I found something else. They weren't just stealing from the hospital, they were billing Medicare for procedures that never happened, charging insurance companies for ghost patients. That was federal crime territory. I contacted the lawyer again. He connected me with someone from the FBI. How much evidence do you have? The agent asked. Everything, I said. Can you get us account numbers? Wire transfer records? I can try. That weekend, there was a family party at the mansion. My parents' anniversary. I went upstairs to use the bathroom, but instead, I slipped into my father's home office. His computer was still logged in. I plugged in a flash drive. I copied his financial folders, his email archives, his secured files. My heart hammered the entire time. Downstairs, I heard my mother calling my name. The progress bar hit 100%. I pulled the drive out, cleared the history, walked back downstairs. There you are, my mother said. We're taking family photos. I smiled. Perfect, I said. The FBI moved faster than I expected. Within 3 days, they had warrants. They coordinated with Medicare fraud investigators, with the state medical board, with federal prosecutors. But they needed one more thing. We need them to file that transfer form, the agent told me. Once they officially put the liability in your name and report the fraud. We have them for conspiracy and filing false statements. So I have to let them frame me first? Just for about 6 hours, he said. We'll arrest them before the paperwork processes. You'll be clear. I didn't like it, but I understood. The meeting was scheduled for Tuesday morning. My father, Marcus, Victoria, the family lawyer, and me. We need your signature on a few final documents, my father had said. Just transition paperwork. I knew what it really was. Monday night, I couldn't sleep. I packed a bag with essentials. I moved my important documents to a safety deposit box. I called my best friend from medical school. If something happens to me, I said, there's a storage unit in Fairfield, number 237. Everything's in there. Marlo, what's going on? Just trust me. Tuesday morning came. I dressed carefully, professional, calm. I drove to the mansion. They wanted to do it there, not at the hospital. More private, they said. I walked into my father's study. Everyone was waiting. "Good morning, sweetheart," my mother said. The documents were spread across the desk. My father handed me a pen. "Just sign here," he said. "And here. And here." I picked up the first page. I read it slowly. "This says I'm taking financial responsibility for hospital equipment purchases." "Standard procedure," Marcus said. I looked at him, then I set down the pen. "No." The room went silent. "What did you say?" my father asked. I said no. His face changed. The smile disappeared. "Marlo." "Don't be difficult, just sign the papers." "I'm not signing anything," I said. "I know what you've been doing." Victoria stood up. "You don't know what you're talking about. 12 million in fraudulent transactions," I said calmly. "Forged signatures, fake vendors, Medicare fraud. Should I continue?" My mother's face went white. Marcus moved toward the door. "You're confused. The stress of the merger." "I have copies of everything," I said. "Bank records, emails, recordings, all of it." My father stepped closer. His voice dropped. "You ungrateful little—" "I also contacted the FBI, I said. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my arm. Hard. "You did what?" "Let go of me." "You're going to destroy this family." He shoved me toward the door. "After everything we've given you." My mother started crying. "How could you do this to us?" My father pushed me into the hallway, toward the stairs. "Stay away from us forever," he shouted. Then he pushed me down. I tumbled down 6 marble steps, hit the landing hard. I looked up at them, all of them standing there. "As you wish," I said. I got in my car. I drove straight to Metropolitan General. 2 hours later, I was sitting across from their board of directors. "We've been following your situation," the chairman said. "The FBI contacted us yesterday. We'd like to offer you the position of head of surgery." Outside, I heard sirens. Federal agents were already at the mansion. The arrests happened fast. My father, Marcus, and Victoria were taken into custody that afternoon. My mother was charged 2 days later as an accessory. The news covered it for weeks. Prominent medical family charged in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. I didn't watch the coverage. I didn't need to. I started my new position at Metropolitan General the following Monday. I had a department to rebuild, patients who needed me, work that actually mattered. The trial took 8 months. I testified for 3 days. I presented every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. My father got 12 years. Marcus got 10. Victoria got 7. My mother got 5 with probation. Pierce Memorial Hospital was sold to pay restitution. The mansion was seized. Everything they built on lies was gone. People asked me if I felt guilty, if I regretted turning in my own family. I didn't. They made their choices. They broke the law. They tried to destroy me to save themselves. I just refused to go down with them. A year later, I was leaving the hospital after a long surgery, a successful one, a patient who would live because I was there. My phone buzzed. A letter from my father, from prison. I deleted it without reading. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some bridges should stay burned. I got in my car. I drove home to my small apartment, the one I paid for myself, the one built on honest work, and for the first time in my life, I felt free.